From a drummer who went from Three Dog Night to adult films to a failed theme park with the world's longest escalator that's now part of CNN headquarters, the Krofft Supershow holds secrets that go far beyond Saturday morning memories. Discover the Osmonds' hidden musical contributions, identical twin stand-ins, and a Hollywood director's forgotten rock star passed in this wild journey through one of TV's trippiest variety shows. Fact 1. The host became an Emmy-winning director. If you watched Captain Cool leading his colorful band of Kongs on Saturday mornings, you'd never guess that the guy in the cabbie hat and rectangular patterned outfit would go on to become one of Hollywood's most successful television directors. Michael Lembeck, who played the energetic frontman of Captain Cool and the Kongs from 1976 to 1978, transformed his career from Saturday morning children's television into directing some of the biggest sitcoms and movies in entertainment. After his time on the Krofft Supershow ended, Lembeck shifted his focus entirely to directing, eventually helming 20 episodes of the massively popular sitcom Friends. His work on the show was so impressive that he won an Emmy Award in 1996 for Outstanding Individual Achievement in directing for a comedy series for the episode titled The One After the Super Bowl, which also happened to be the most viewed episode hit in the entire series. Beyond television, Lembeck made a successful jump to feature films, directing The Santa Claus 2 in 2002 and The Santa Claus 3. The Escape Clause in 2006, both starring Tim Allen. He also directed the comedy Connie and Carla in 2004 with Nia Vardalos and Toni Collette. Looking back at his early career, it's wild to think that the same person who once sang and danced in a glam rock costume on a kids' variety show went on to shape some of the most beloved comedy moments in television and film history. Fact 2. The Osmonds secretly wrote all the music. One of the best-kept secrets of the Krofft Supershow is that behind every catchy theme song and musical number in the first season, you'll find the songwriting talents of the Osmonds, the famous family singing group. While Captain Cool and the Kongs performed all the songs on screen, it was actually Alan, Wayne, and Merrill Osmond who composed the music that became the soundtrack of Saturday morning television for millions of kids. The Osmonds wrote the main Krofft Supershow theme song, the Wonderbug theme, the Dr. Shrinker theme, the Electra Woman and Dinah Girl theme, the Magic Mongo theme, and numerous other musical numbers that appeared throughout the show's first season, including songs like Gonna Get Your Love, Get Dancin', and Captain Cool and the Kongs. The Osmonds even provided background vocals on several tracks, though most viewers had no idea at the time. This collaboration made sense considering the Krofts were already working with the Osmond family on their successful variety show, Donnie and Marie, which aired during the same period. Despite their significant creative contribution to the show's musical identity, the Osmonds received little public recognition for their work on the Krofft Supershow, and the songs were never commercially released during the first season, unlike the second season's music. It wasn't until years later that fans began to discover the Osmonds' hidden involvement in creating the infectious melodies that defined the show. Fact 3. The park closed mid-season on TV. The Krofft Supershow had a unique claim to fame during its first season because Captain Cool and the Kongs filmed their musical segments at an actual indoor amusement park called The World of Sid and Marty Krofft in Atlanta, Georgia. The park was located inside the Omni International Complex, which is now known as the CNN Center, and it featured elaborate attractions based on the Krofts' various television shows. However, in a bizarre twist of timing, the theme park completely failed and shut its doors permanently in November of 1976, closing between the broadcast of Episode 9 and Episode 10 of the Krofft Supershow's first season. This meant that while viewers at home were watching the band perform in the colorful, psychedelic environment of the theme park, the actual location had already been closed for weeks in reality. The park had opened in May of 1976 with tremendous fanfare and national media attention, but it suffered from devastating attendance numbers and financial losses almost immediately. After barely 5 months of operation, the park was forced to close, leaving behind only brief glimpses of its interior captured in the Krofft Supershow segments. Sadly, the footage of Captain Cool and the Kongs performing in the park provides very little documentation of what the attractions actually looked like, with only occasional glimpses of the famous carousel and the incredibly long escalator visible in the background of the musical numbers and comedy sketches. Fact 4. Turkey was Three Dog Night's drummer, Mickey McNeil, who played the Kong member nicknamed Turkey and wore psychedelic suns all over his costume, wasn't just an actor pretending to be a musician for the Krofft Supershow. He was actually a professional drummer who had recently finished touring with one of the biggest rock bands of the 1970s, Three Dog Night. McNeil joined Three Dog Night in 1974 as their drummer, replacing the band's original drummer, Floyd Sneed, and he played with them for 2 years during a particularly challenging period in the band's history. During his time with Three Dog Night, McNeil recorded 2 studio albums with the group, Coming Down Your Way, which was released in May of 1975, and American Pastime, which came out in 1976. He also played on what would become the band's last top 40 hit during that era, a song called Till the World Ends. After leaving Three Dog Night in 1976, McNeil transitioned into television work and landed the role of Turkey on the Krofft Supershow, bringing his genuine musical talent and drumming skills to the fictional band. His experience as a real touring musician added authenticity to the Kongs' performances, even though the show was aimed at children and had a deliberately silly, over-the-top style. McNeil continued to work in entertainment after the show ended, appearing in various television programs and films throughout the 1980s and 90s. Fact 5. A Wonderbug star had a secret adult film career. John Anthony Bailey, who played the character C.C. McNamara on the Wonderbug segments of the Krofft Supershow, lived a life that took an unexpected and controversial turn after his time on Saturday morning television ended. Bailey appeared on Wonderbug from 1976 to 1978 as the athletic and enthusiastic member of the teenage trio who discovered the magical talking dune buggy. He also had small roles on other television shows during this period, including 2 appearances on Happy Days as a character named Styx Downey, who was the drummer in Richie Cunningham's band. However, by the early 1980s, Bailey had shifted his career dramatically and began working in the adult film industry under the stage name Jack Baker. Between 1984 and 1994, Bailey appeared in more than 140 adult films, according to records from the Internet Adult Film Database. His most well-known work in this genre included films like New Wave Hookers in 1985 and several others directed by Gregory Dark. Interestingly, Bailey stopped performing explicit scenes fairly early in his adult film career, concerned about the growing AIDS epidemic in the 1980s, and he transitioned into non-sex comedic roles within these productions, often playing characters that satirized racial stereotypes. Tragically, Bailey was diagnosed with bladder cancer in the late 1980s and died from the disease on November 13, 1994, at just 47 years old. Without health insurance or steady mainstream acting work during his final years, he struggled financially and was ultimately cremated because his family couldn't afford the burial they wanted to give him. Fact 6. Electra Woman's twin sister played her clone. In the Electra Woman and Dinah Girl segment of the Krofft Supershow, there was a 2-part episode called The Spider Lady, where the villain, played by actress Tiffany Bowling, created an evil duplicate of Electra Woman to frame the superhero and cause chaos. Instead of using the typical split-screen special effects technique that most television shows would employ to show the same actress playing 2 characters at once, the Krofft production team came up with a much simpler and more practical solution. They cast Deidre Hall's real-life identical twin sister, Andrea Hall, to play the evil clone of Electra Woman in the episode. Since Deidre and Andrea were identical twins, born on October 31, 1947, they looked exactly alike and could stand in the same scene together without any special camera tricks or post-production effects needed. This creative casting choice made filming much easier and more efficient, and it gave Andrea her first professional acting opportunity at the age of 28. The twin connection worked so well that Andrea later joined Deidre on the soap opera Days of Our Lives, where she played Samantha Evans, the evil twin sister of Deidre's iconic character, Dr. Marlena Evans, from 1977 to 1982. The Spider Lady episodes remain a unique example of using real-life genetics to solve a television production challenge. And for fans of the show, it's a fun bit of trivia that the evil duplicate of Electra Woman was actually played by a genuine duplicate of the actress. Fact 7. The world's longest freestanding escalator still exists. One remarkable piece of the failed World of Sid and Marty Krofft theme park has survived for nearly 50 years and is still in operation today. The park featured an absolutely massive 8-story escalator that carried guests from the ground floor all the way up to the top level of the indoor amusement park. And this escalator was officially listed in the Guinness World Records as the longest freestanding escalator in the world. The term freestanding means that the escalator was only supported at its two ends, with no additional support structure in the middle, making it an impressive feat of engineering. When the theme park opened in May of 1976, visitors would ride this escalator up through the atrium of the Omni International Complex, passing by two giant 2-story tall jester statues that greeted them at the top. After the park closed in November of 1976 and sat vacant for years, the building eventually became the headquarters for CNN when Ted Turner purchased the complex in 1987 and transformed it into the CNN Center. Rather than removing the famous escalator, CNN incorporated it into their facility, and today it serves as the starting point for the CNN studio tour. Visitors to CNN Center still ride the same record-breaking escalator that once carried excited children up to the colorful, psychedelic world of Sid and Marty Krofft's imagination. The escalator now takes tourists into the heart of CNN's broadcast operations instead of a fantasy theme park, but it remains as a lasting physical reminder of the ambitious and ultimately doomed amusement park that once occupied the space. Fact 8. The theme park cost $20 million and failed spectacularly. The World of Sid and Marty Krofft was an incredibly ambitious and expensive project that the brothers believed would revolutionize indoor entertainment, but it turned into one of the most spectacular business failures in theme park history. The Kroffts invested $20 million in 1970s money, which would be roughly equivalent to over $100 million today when adjusted for inflation, to build the elaborate, multi-level indoor amusement park inside the Omni International Complex in downtown Atlanta. The park opened on May 26, 1976, with a star-studded pre-opening celebration attended by more than 3,000 celebrities, dignitaries, and media members. Atlanta Mayor Maynard Jackson even proclaimed at the opening ceremony that it was the greatest opening in Atlanta since Gone with the Wind, and called it the most fantastic thing that ever hit any downtown. Despite all this excitement and fanfare, the park was an immediate financial disaster. The Kroffts had projected that they needed at least 1 million visitors in the first year just to break even on their massive investment, but the park managed to attract only 300,000 total visitors during its entire 6-month run. The park closed permanently on November 10, 1976, less than half a year after opening, and the Kroffts were left with enormous financial losses. The failure was so significant that the building's owners struggled to find tenants for years afterward, and much of the former theme park space sat empty and unused until CNN moved into the complex in the mid-1980s and finally found a purpose for the enormous rooms and elaborate infrastructure. Fact 9. Downtown Atlanta was the murder capital. During filming, the timing of the World of Sid and Marty Krofft theme park couldn't have been worse when it came to the location's reputation and public safety concerns. When the park opened in May of 1976, Atlanta was ranked as the murder capital of the United States in the early 1970s, and the downtown area where the Omni International Complex was located was considered dangerous and undesirable, especially for families with young children. The Omni was situated near major housing projects and in an area experiencing serious urban decay, making it a challenging place to convince suburban families to visit for a day of entertainment. Real estate developer Tom Cousins and the Krofft brothers had hoped that their ambitious project would help revitalize the downtown area and that the city would follow through on promises to clean up the neighborhood and improve safety. However, those improvements didn't happen quickly enough to save the theme park. The high crime rate in the area became one of the main factors contributing to the park's failure, as parents were understandably reluctant to take their children into downtown Atlanta for what was supposed to be a fun and safe family outing. Sid Krofft later said in interviews, "The reason the park closed is because the wold. City promised us that they were going to clean up downtown. There was a lot of crime down there, and people were afraid to go down, especially that far down to the Omni, and they promised us that they were going to clean it up." The combination of safety concerns, an inconvenient location, and the park's high ticket prices proved to be too many obstacles for the venture to overcome. Fact 10. The band got downsized and deglammed. When the Krofft Supershow returned for its second season in 1977, viewers immediately noticed that Captain Cool and the Kongs looked completely different from the wild, colorful band they had seen just months before. During the first season, the band had 5 members who wore elaborate glam rock costumes covered in their signature symbols, with Captain Cool sporting prisms, Turkey wearing suns, Nashville covered in butterflies, Super Chick decorated with hearts, and Flatbush in a giant pimp hat with a feather. All 5 members also wore face paint, similar to the rock band Kiss, creating a theatrical and over-the-top visual style. However, the producers decided that the glam rock look was aging poorly and getting outdated too quickly, so they made dramatic changes for Season 2. First, they reduced the band from 5 members to just 4 by eliminating the character of Flatbush entirely from the show. Then they stripped away all the face paint and replaced the flashy glam rock costumes with a more toned-down look, featuring denim jackets and pants trimmed with their respective symbols, trying to capitalize on the growing disco and Bee Gees aesthetic that was becoming popular. Captain Cool's hair was cut shorter, though he kept his signature cabbie hat, now also made of denim. Super Chick's hair was straightened and put into a ponytail, while Nashville's afro actually got bigger and more prominent. The musical style also shifted, with the Osmonds no longer involved in writing songs for the show, and the music becoming more disco-influenced to match the changing trends in popular culture during the late 1970s. Fact 11. Wonderbug cost only $7.34 at the junkyard. In the fictional world of Wonderbug, one of the most charming details about how the 3 teenage characters discovered their magical flying car was the incredibly specific and ridiculously low price they paid for it. According to the show's storyline, teenagers Barry Buntrock, Cece McNamara, and Susan Talbot were wandering through a junkyard when they came across a beat-up, rusty old dune buggy that looked like it had been cobbled together from parts of several different junked cars. The vehicle was in such terrible condition that it barely qualified as a functional automobile, and it had a California license plate that simply read "Schlepp," which was a Yiddish word meaning to haul or drag something with difficulty. The junkyard owner apparently valued this heap of scrap metal so little that the 3 teens were able to purchase it for the grand total of $7.34. This oddly specific price became a memorable piece of trivia for fans of the show, and it emphasized just how worthless Schleppcar appeared to be before the teenagers discovered its secret magical abilities. After buying the wreck for less than the cost of a decent meal, the kids attached a magic horn they found to the vehicle, and when the horn played the cavalry charge bugle call, Schleppcar would transform into the amazing Wonderbug, a shiny metal flake red dune buggy with the ability to fly, drive on water, and help the teens fight crime. The $7.34 purchase price made Wonderbug possibly the best bargain in television history, turning pocket change into a superhero vehicle. Fact 12. The license plate changed during transformations. One of the clever visual details that many viewers of Wonderbug might have missed during the show's quick transformation sequences was the fact that Schleppcar's California license plate physically changed every single time the magic horn triggered the vehicle's metamorphosis. In its normal junker form, the beat-up dune buggy displayed a license plate that read Schlepp, which perfectly captured the vehicle's status as a barely functional piece of junk that had to be hauled around with difficulty. However, when the teenagers blew the magic horn and Schleppcar transformed into its superhero identity, everything about the vehicle changed, including the license plate. During the transformation, which was accompanied by sparkles and special effects, the plate would magically shift from reading Schlepp to displaying Wonderbug, which was a clever play on words combining the word wonderful with bug, referring to the Volkswagen Beetle-based dune buggy design. The new plate was written as Wonderbug, but clearly meant to be read as Wonderbug, making it a visual pun that reflected the vehicle's new identity as the amazing crime-fighting supercar. This attention to detail showed that the Croft production team was thinking about every aspect of the transformation, not just the obvious changes in the vehicle's appearance and abilities. The license plate switch was just one of many alterations that occurred during each transformation, along with the vehicle changing from dull green to shiny metallic red, the headlights becoming animated like blinking eyes, and the bumpers reshaping into what looked like a smiling mouth. Fact 13. Dr. Shrinker featured classic character actors having fun. The Dr. Shrinker segments of the Krofft Supershow featured two veteran character actors who approached their roles with a deliberately campy and theatrical style that made the show memorable for young viewers. Jay Robinson played the title character, Dr. Shrinker, a mad scientist who had created a shrinking ray and spent each episode trying to recapture 3 teenagers he had accidentally shrunk down to 6 inches tall. Billy Barty, a well-known actor who stood 3 feet 9 inches tall and had appeared in dozens of films and television shows throughout his career, played Hugo, Dr. Shrinker's loyal but bumbling assistant. Both Robinson and Barty made the conscious decision to play their villain roles in an exaggerated, over-the-top manner that was clearly inspired by classic horror movie villains, particularly the theatrical style of Vincent Price. They embraced the campiness of the material and hammed up their performances with sinister chuckles, dramatic gestures, and scenery-chewing dialogue delivery that delighted children while also giving the show a self-aware sense of humor. Robinson, who had previously played memorable villain roles in movies like The Robe and Demetrius and the Gladiators, brought his experience with theatrical villainy to the character of Dr. Shrinker, making him both menacing and funny at the same time. Barty, who had been a successful performer since childhood and had worked with everyone from Spike Jonze to Liberace, played Hugo with comedic timing and physical humor that balanced out Robinson's more sinister approach. Together, they created a villain duo that was entertaining rather than genuinely scary, perfectly suited for Saturday morning children's television while also being enjoyable for adults who appreciated the winking homage to classic horror films. Fact 14. The Bay City Rollers killed the show. After the Krofft Supershow completed 2 successful seasons on ABC from 1976 to 1978, the network decided not to renew the show for a 3rd season in its existing format. Instead, the Krofft brothers were given the opportunity to completely revamp the series and move it to a different network, NBC, where they hoped to capitalize on the massive popularity of a Scottish pop band called the Bay City Rollers, who were dominating the music charts and teen magazines at that time. The new version of the show was retitled The Krofft Superstar Hour, and it replaced Captain Cool and the Kongs entirely with the real Bay City Rollers band as the hosts and musical performers. The Rollers performed comedy skits and musical numbers just like the Kongs had done, and they introduced new live-action adventure segments called Horror Hotel and The Lost Island, while also airing reruns of Magic Mongo from the previous show. However, the new format failed to capture the same audience or magic of the original Krofft Supershow. After just 8 episodes, the show was retitled again to simply The Bay City Rollers Show, and it was cut from 60 minutes down to 30 minutes, with several of the adventure segments being dropped entirely. The show limped along until January 27, 1979, when it was finally canceled for good. The attempt to replace the fictional Captain Cool and the Kongs with a real popular band turned out to be a miscalculation, and it effectively ended the era of Krofft variety shows on Saturday morning. Television. Fact 15. Michael Lembeck roomed with John Travolta. Before Michael Lembeck became Captain Cool on the Krofft Supershow, and long before he became an Emmy-winning television director, he had an early career experience that connected him to one of the biggest movie stars of the 1970s and 80s. In the early 1970s, Lembeck was a young actor working in theater and touring productions, trying to build his career and gain experience on stage. He landed a role in the original National Touring Company production of the hit Broadway musical Grease, which was traveling across the country, performing the show in various cities. During this tour, Lembeck's actual roommate was a then unknown young actor named John Travolta, who was also part of the touring cast and was still several years away from his breakthrough roles in the television show Welcome Back, Kotter, and the blockbuster movie Saturday Night Fever. The two actors lived together and shared the experiences of life on the road as touring performers, forming a friendship during their time working on the production. After the tour ended, both men went on to pursue very different career paths, with Travolta becoming one of the biggest movie stars in the world and Lembeck transitioning from acting into directing. Looking back at his early days rooming with Travolta while performing in Grease, Lembeck has mentioned the experience in interviews as a memorable chapter of his life before he put on the colorful costume and cabbie hat of Captain Cool and became a Saturday morning television fixture for millions of young viewers. Millions of young viewers. Millions of young viewers. Millions of young